In order to get really accurate cuts and really accurate results, you need to be able to hold down your workpieces very firmly, and you need to be able to take them in and out easily and quickly to be able to move on to the next piece. And that's where a T-track table really comes into its own. Really fun woodworking really comes down to having accuracy and repeatability in your work. This build is similar in a lot of ways to the drill press table T-track segment that we did a few months ago, so you can check that out for some really fine details on installing T-track and getting things all just right. This T-track table will allow you to use a whole bunch of clamping mechanisms and stops and other apparatus in order to hold your workpiece really, really firmly. We've got a couple of hold down clamps by Armatool. They'll slide into the T-track. This is an Armatool Inline clamp, which allows you to apply pressure in the horizontal direction. I've got a whole bunch of Balladonia alloy dogs here for some dog holes that I've drilled. They'll act as stops. Some little brass T-track stops as well by Balladonia. They're super useful. Anyway, there's a huge variety of clamps and other tools that you can sit in these tracks, anywhere along these tracks, to get really firm holding pressure on the work that you're trying to either cut or sand or scrape or whatever it is that you're trying to do. One of the main reasons I wanted to build this is because there's these fantastic edge mounted T-tracks which allow you to get full coverage of a T-tracks on the side of your piece, and they also have vertical facing T-tracks which allows you to add a supplementary vertical side piece if you wanted to. On this particular build, I've just left it as my horizontal surface. It's really simple to install these things. The T-track itself is about 18.89 wide, so just use a 19mm straight bit and you can route out a channel anywhere on this board. I just set it up on my router table and ran through 2 channels in this vertical direction and 2 channels in the horizontal direction. These trenches will need to be about 9.5mm deep, but honestly I set the depth just by using the piece of track itself sitting next to the router bit as it was exposed in the table. So that's really simple. In this plywood I was able to do that in one pass, went through really smoothly. As long as you have a good sharp bit, you won't have a problem. The real beauty of this system is actually these intersection kits. It allows you to do really seamless installation without having to cut a lot of complicated cuts on the solid T-track units. So once you've routed out your channels here, I would place your intersection kits into one of the corners, well, into all of the corners, and then just measure the distances that you will need for your straight bits between each point of those intersection kits, and then you can cut all of your pieces of aluminium. You're going to have to pre-drill them and then screw them down to the board. So once you've measured all of the bits that you need, write them down, and then you're ready to cut all of this track. One thing to keep in mind is you don't necessarily want track going right to the edge if you have one of these edging pieces of T-track on as well, because your track will run into that track and you won't have any access point to actually put your hold downs or your clamps into that track. So I'm keeping my track going right to the edge on the open sides, but I'm leaving it about 50 or 60mm away from the track on those sides where I have the edge track on there. Otherwise you're going to have to put every tool in from one position in the board and it'll be really, really slow. There's a number of ways to cut this. If you just have a few pieces to cut, I've done it pretty quickly with a hacksaw. It'll work really well. I have used my metal cut-off saw or a grinder, but it just doesn't work really well with aluminium unless you have a specific aluminium blade. What does work really well though, and is very, very clean, is a specific aluminium saw blade in your drop saw. One thing that you need to keep in mind when you're cutting aluminium is it has a tendency to pull the blade into the material. So if you were to use a standard timber blade or a blunt old timber blade in your drop saw, you'd have to go incredibly slowly to make sure that the saw didn't grab into the aluminium and fling metal somewhere or cause further damage to your machine. So a specific blade that's designed to cut aluminium, the angle on the teeth is set backwards so that there's no chance of it pulling in really hard and fast into that aluminium piece. Another thing to keep in mind, for exactly the same reason, is that if you do have a sliding compound saw like I do, you want to lock those sliding components off so that you just have a drop saw that cannot move. And as you're going through the aluminium, keep really good control of the saw arm so that it has no chance of driving in really hard and fast. But a good sharp aluminium blade will go through this like butter. It will go through quickly and you get beautiful clean cuts. I picked up a aluminium specific saw blade from CMT. They have more teeth than a standard timber blade. The teeth on that blade is a triple grind, which is what you need for aluminium and really tricky materials like melamine. But most importantly, the angle on those teeth is set backwards. The other thing it allows you to do with a drop saw like this is you can actually cut mitered corners if you need to. Now, you don't need to do that for any of these straight pieces of track through the board, but I did need to do it on the edge of my edging pieces of T-track. I'll show you that in a second, just so that they meet up really nice and neatly in that corner. When you're doing anything with aluminium, make sure you're wearing eye protection. A little shard of aluminium to the eyeball, not a good way to start your day. Now, we have to drill little tiny holes in these tracks so that we can lock them down to the board. Your holes are going to depend on the size of the screws that you're using. A 4.5mm drill bit worked really well for me and the screws that come included in this T-track. You're also going to want to actually countersink the inside of those holes. Now that's a little tricky because the gap here is far too small to fit a standard countersink bit. What I found the simplest way to do it is actually to use a 8mm drill bit or a 7.5mm drill bit. Make sure you're using a depth stop on your drill press so it can't go through the piece. So you'll need to do a little test. And then once you've set it up, you can actually just make sure it's just kissing that little hole that we've pre-drilled there before to give you a countersink effect. Works really well and lets you get right inside that track. I also put a tiny countersink on the backside so that any plywood or any MDF that's pulled up when you're screwing these down has someplace to go rather than raising these tracks up. So simple little tricks will get you a really nice tight fit onto the board. In terms of the spacing of these screws, it's kind of arbitrary. You just want to make sure that you get a really nice firm hold on these pieces of aluminium track. So I like to put 2 in these small ones, 2 in these medium ones. These are about 80 or 90mm apart. And something this size, I'll put 3, upwards and upwards. If you find that you're getting any lifting of the track, put some more screws in. If you think you'll be applying a lot of clamping pressure, maybe put some more screws in. You could even put an epoxy in there and then screw it down if you wanted a really firm fix. If you've done what I've done and actually put some spacers underneath this board, you can have screws that go right through. Otherwise, you're going to have to use really stumpy little screws and you're going to have to make sure that you're getting a good firm hold for each of those screws. But I wouldn't space out these screws much further than about 10 centimeters. Installing the edge track is really simple. It's designed specifically so that it can go on the edge of 18mm sheet and sit perfectly flush with the top. So you don't need to do any rebating unless you want to use a really thick or odd-sized base material. So you just place it on the edge and you put some screws in. You will need to pre-drill the aluminium. You don't really need to countersink unless for some reason you need that to be super flush along the underside. Put a bunch of screws in here. You want a really nice firm hold so that you can use a lot of force on these edge track bits and they'll be really useful to you. As I said previously, I did actually miter these corners. It's not entirely necessary, but you do need to make sure that you have open ends on this corner so that you can get tools in there without having to come all the way from one of the other open ends here. So it's handy to have an entry point there. This miter just brings them nice and close while still giving you that entry point. These stringers just help me make the bottom surface flat, because this edge track does protrude below the surface of the material. So when I turn this over, it can sit on any surface and be really nice and flat. I use this 19mm tungsten carbide tipped Forstner bit to drill the dog holes. The fantastic thing about dog holes is you can put a whole bunch on here without really affecting the structural integrity of the board or having to install a whole bunch of additional hardware. So it just gives you more places to put more tools. At the moment, I've only just got these little alloy dogs. They're really simple and inexpensive, very easy to use, but there's also a whole bunch of clamping mechanisms which are designed specifically to sit in dog holes as well. This 19mm bit will give you a really nice clean cut. Put something underneath so you don't get tear out, and you'll get a really nice firm surface for these tools to sit in and provide you with that stop or the clamping force that you need. Building a T-track table like this just gives you incredible versatility because you're designing it for the work that you do. If you make a whole bunch of little jewelry boxes, make it small, put lots of tracks in it so that you can get really nice, tight clamping. If you're doing large frames or picture frames or some other object that's larger, make it larger. You can put them even directly into a giant workbench like this huge workbench that I have here. But ultimately, you decide what you want to do with them. You buy the lengths, you put them together, use the intersection kits. Really, really useful. And you're only limited by your imagination and the huge variety of clamping tools that are on offer. So go ahead, grab some bits and pieces, and make you one. It's a really inexpensive way to get an incredibly versatile table. You can pick up these armor tool clamping devices from Timbecon. You can also get all of the Balladonia hold downs and the dogs that I was using, and all sorts of other tools from Timbecon as well. So jump on their website at timbecon.com.au or head into one of their stores, chat to their friendly staff in Melbourne or in Perth.